Let us continue with the video where I have explained the methods how to multiply the how to multiply two matrices and implement with the code. Let us watch again.
That array name by itself implies the base address of the first element. So the first element we denote by the array 0 index and address of this address operator. So array is ampersand array 0. If it is array plus I, it means it is arr I. So with reference to pointer, if we want to access the two-dimensional elements of the two-dimensional array, let's say this is arr ij, we will be accessing this way star arr plus I plus j this like here arr I in single dimensional array, we know arr I is nothing but the a star arr plus I, means the content of the location I is value at address I, arr I. So arr I denotes the address of the ith element in the single dimensional array, and this star implies we have to access the element, we are putting a star followed by this arr plus I, means value at address. So here this case, the same way we will be accessing the particular element in the index ij, arr plus I first star, then plus j, then this. So this is the way to access the elements of two-dimensional array using pointer. Now if we know that we can do so many things using two-dimensional array like this. In multi-dimensional array, we can imagine of any dimension, it may be of 3, 4, 5 according to the facts in real life. We can think of 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional or n-dimensional array as and when required. Like say if a classroom has 3 number of rows and 4 number of columns in a particular classroom, okay, in a class. So in this way, if there are 2 rows in a particular floor, then we will be writing plus 2 rows. For each row there are classes having 3 number of rows and columns if the desks, the students are arranged in this manner. Now if there are 3 number of floors in a particular building, then you can imagine of 4-dimensional array. 3, 4. In this way it will be continued. So according to the perception from the fact we will come across, we will be thinking according to that way. Now generally the problems which we need to solve, that problems on matrices, as I told you at the beginning, that you can imagine a matrix as a 2-dimensional array, since it's a collection of rows and columns. So for to access each and every element in the matrix, we have to take the help of 2-dimensional array. Now the question is how to do that. You know that the rules of addition of two matrices and rules of multiplication of two matrices, if you apply the rules over here, so we can implement that operations in program also. For addition, let's say int mat1, let's say 3 by 3 matrix. mat2, we are taking 3 matrices in this way, and mat3 3 by 3. So after taking the inputs from keyboard in this way, what we will be doing, we will be just writing here, instead of here I will be writing mat1 ij. Again we have to take another block in this way, another block of for loop to take the elements for the second matrix, and we will be using the same variables for j is 0, j less than, here it will be 3, because 3 by 3 matrices, j3 and j plus plus. Now then scanf, it will be mat1, instead of error, it will be mat1 scanf, here in %d ampersand mat2 I j. So we have taken the elements for the two matrices, and very simply it's very simple, just to what we do in mathematical operations. So we will be storing the results after addition of mat1 and mat2. We will be storing the result into mat3. So again we have to take another set of these loops in this way. For I is 0, I less than 3, definitely the resultant matrix will be having of same dimension, I less than 3, I plus plus. For j is 0, j less than 3, j plus plus. Now mat3 I j assigns to mat1 I j plus mat2 ij, means if 3, this is number of 3 rows are there and 3 columns are there. Here also it is for mat1, here also for mat2, matrix 2, number of rows and columns the same mat2. And for mat3, what will be doing, this plus this will be stored here, these plus these should be stored here, these plus these should be stored here. In this way we will be getting the 9 elements, 3 row number of rows 3 and number of columns 3 for the mat 3, same as mat 1, mat 2. It's very simple, nothing else. And now to print a matrix, we have discussed how to take elements in a matrix through keyboard, and now we have to also think for printing this matrix. We have to print the matrix. So while printing a matrix, a two-dimensional array, the matrix what we are talking about, we have to keep one thing in mind, that while printing at the video it must look like a matrix, means the arrangement of rows and columns for the elements. So that's why we have to, after we get any matrix, if we want to print, we have to print the function what we use for printing an element, that is printf. The same function we will be using here, but first for the row, let's say it is 3 by 3 matrix, so I is 3 for the row, I is 0, I less than 3, and I plus plus. This keeps tracks of the number of rows, and after printing each and every row, if we don't put a new line, all the elements will be printed at the same row, but definitely we will be putting a break or line between two rows. So we have to print a new line, just /n after printing each row. Then this is the j variable which will print, which will keep track of number of columns, j less than 3 for the 3 by 3 matrix, j plus plus. Now printf %d matrix 3, or any matrix, the name of the matrix. If it is matrix 3, the resultant matrix after addition of two matrices what we are printing, mat 3, I and j. That's all. And since here we are having two statements, more than one statement, so definitely the outer for loop must be put under the second bracket. So this is for the row and this for the column. So this one, first matrix mat 3, when I is 0, j 0, mat 3 0 0. The 0th element will be printed this way. When I is 0, j, then j plus plus, j becomes 1, so I is still 0. So 0 1 means the second element of the first row. Then j plus plus means j becomes 2, and I is still 0 0 2, that is the third element of the first row. Now j plus plus, j becomes 3, so it becomes false. Then control will come here in the outer loop. I will be incremented by 1, I was 0, now I becomes 1, so 1 less than 3 is true. Then a new line will be generated. The cursor will come to the new line in VDU in the display unit, and then again j will be initialized by 0, means this loop will start executing right from the beginning. So j is 0, so I is now 1, j is 0, so 1 0 means this element. Now j plus plus, j becomes 1, I is 1, so 1 1 this element, j becomes 2 2 less than 3, I is 1, so this element. Again I plus plus, so I was 1, now I is 2, means the third row. Then I is 2 less than 3, it still is true, and printf slash n, again a new line will be generated. Cursor will come here to start printing the elements of the third row. So I is now 2, j is again will start again, j is 0, so 2 0 means this one, j plus plus. After printing the element, j will be incremented by 1, j plus plus, j is 1, so it is 2 1 means this element, then j plus plus, j becomes 2 less than 3, so this element, and this j plus plus, j becomes 3 less than 3, it falls. Then control will come here, I was 2, now I becomes 3, after getting incremented by 1, so 3 less than 3, it falls, so control will come out of the loop. By the time we have printed all the 9 elements in the matrix, and it looks like a matrix. So here, if we don't put a printf, if we don't put a new line here, if we don't print a new line here, then all the elements will be printed in the same row. Instead of printing in 3 different rows, all the 9 elements will be printed in the same row. Okay. So next comes to what we are discussing in our last class, that is the multiplication of 2 matrices. So those who forgot how to multiply 2 matrices, I told you later you will go through any mathematics book where the manipulation of the mathematical manipulations of matrices are there, addition, multiplication, transpose, all these operations you'll be getting in any mathematical book. So I told you that the rule for the multiplication of 2 matrices. What's the rule? When the multiplication of 2 matrices is possible, the rule is this: the number of the first number of columns of the first row, number of columns of the first matrix must be same as the number of rows of the second matrix. So if the first matrix, the order is 3 by 2, and the second matrix, order of the second matrix, if it is 2 by 2, then you can see that these are the same. So the number of columns of the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix, then only multiplication will be possible. And what will be the order of the resultant matrix? This will be the order of the second matrix, means in this case the resultant matrix will be having the order of 3 by 2. This is an example. So here you have for multiplication of 2 matrices program, you have to take 3 matrices. Let us take the 3 arrays. I have taken the same way. We will be taking input for the first matrix and the second matrix, then you have to multiply. So this is the core part of the multiplication. What happens here? Here I have taken error 1, error 2, error 3. In this way you can change the name by mat1, mat2, mat3. Okay, so let us implement this example. The order of the first matrix is 3 2, and the order of the second matrix is 2 by 2. And definitely the resultant order of the resultant matrix will be 3 by 2. So these 2 loops will keep track of the number of rows and columns for the resultant matrix we are going to produce. So this 3, since the order will be the 3 by 2 for the resultant matrix, so this is the row I less than 3, and you can see the j less than 2, the 3 2. Now if you recall, this is the how the multiplication rule is, how we multiply the matrices. So 3 by 2, let us show here. 3 by 2, number of rows is 3 and number of columns is 2. Okay, this way. This is the first matrix. Okay, let us see here. Let us show here. This and this. This is the first matrix, and this is the second matrix 2 by 2. Number of rows is 2 and 2 columns. Okay, so how we will multiply? First, what we do is for the first array or first matrix, mat1, this is mat2. Now we will be producing mat3 after multiplication. So what we consider the first column of the second matrix and first row of the first matrix. First we take this element and this element, we multiply these two elements. So this, and again, and after multiplication we add to have the elements, final elements for that particular room for the resultant matrix. Then these and these and these. After multiplication of these, we add it up, so we get the first element. So these multiplied by this one, and this element multiplied by this element, and after each multiplication we are supposed to add up the intermediate results what we'll be getting. So this becomes for this, and next this element is multiplied by this plus this element will be multiplied by this, we will be getting this one. And for the third one, these will be multiplied by this, and plus these will be multiplied by this, we are getting this one. That is the first elements of the first column we are generating. And the same thing to have the second column for the resultant matrix, we will be considering the second column of the first matrix first, then these multiplied by these plus this multiplied by this, we will be getting this one. Then this multiplied by this plus this multiplied by this, we will be getting this one, and this multiplied by this and this multiplied by this, we will be getting the last element. So this is the way. So just to get just to add the subsequent result after each multiplication, we have to take the help of a third loop, that is we are keeping track using the variable k, and after each and every operation, every elements we are generating, we have to again since we are using this ij again and again, we have to reinitialize the elements by 0. So this is
so I think you have come to know how to multiply the two matrices and how to implement it in C. Let us just check that portion once again in our note what I have given you here. This is that core part what we were watching in the video, that is this mat3 ij. We are generating the elements of mat3, okay, and we are taking a third loop which will be doing that operations, means multiplication and the subsequent addition to get the result as a final element, which will put in a corresponding row and column, corresponding position according to the row and column, and these are keeping track of the rows and column of the third matrix. Okay. And this is the way to print a matrix we have shown here. You know that I told you after generating each and every row we should print a new line, otherwise all the elements in the resultant matrix will be visible in a single row if we don't put a new line between each row, right? So this is the way it will look like a matrix, and here using that /t escape sequence tab, we are actually putting a tab space between each and every element before it gets printed, and this is the result you can see, and the elements will look like matrix. Okay, and see the next program to transpose a matrix. This is very easy. You know that that rows and columns will be interchanged. So this is the matrix we are taking after taking two matrices, first one and second one. Here we are transposing this I0 I column, means the row will be changed in the column, and column will be changed into row for the transposition. So this way we are just changing, and what we are just printing that ij. We have changed the rows with the column and column with the rows to print. Okay, so this will be our result of the transpose matrix, what we have shown here using this program. So far the matrix multiplication, addition, and the transposition is concerned, we have gone through the notes, and we have discussed in this class.